let's talk a little bit about your presentation. Tell me about it.
We're really looking forward to giving this presentation for the first time at NAR. There's a lot of confusion and anxiety that surrounds gender, and this is going to be a safe space to have a very frank discussion about what gender is and how it affects us daily. As realtors, when broker owners and association, this really impacts everyone across the industry, that we can make missteps in our daily interactions and communications that could cost us, and we may not even know it. And we're an industry that promotes inclusivity, and we are going to be focusing on how we can do that more so as an industry. Because frankly, if realtors do not wrap their heads around this topic, they will be left behind on it.
Right, and this conversation has been going on for a while, but how has it been changing around gender in recent years?
So I think it's changing a lot due to the Gen Z population, as they're called. So there have always been varying forms of gender throughout history, but the Gen Zs are really driving this to the forefront because they are having a more public conversation about it. So Irregular Labs did a study that 23% of Gen Z expects to change their gender identity at least once throughout their lifetime. More than half of those people expect to change it 2 or more times. Yes. So with not the advent of the internet, but with their accessibility to the internet, you can search a lot more things. Celebrities are also coming out and as identifying non-binary and also promoting their gender fluidity identities. So this is giving the Gen Zs more resources to explore and see what types of genders resonate with them.
Wow. So how do these changing notions of gender impact for housing, real estate, advertising, everything?
Well, just in case anyone hasn't read our code of ethics recently, we have a clause in there that says that we will treat everyone equally and professionally based upon their gender identity. And it is amazing and awesome that the association has taken that stance. The challenge we have is the industry actually needs to catch up, and sometimes realtors don't catch up quite as quickly as some of the language in our code does. Because even in the MLS today, I photographed this the other day. His and hers closets are listed. Why do we do that? Why? The she sheds, the man caves. Another realtor brought up to me that when people stage houses, they will actually gender stage children's bedrooms. So we really need to be cognizant of that as an industry because our code is saying that we're inclusive. But what we're actually doing in day-to-day practice also needs to be inclusive. And this applies not only to agents, but also to brokers, association staff. It's right across the board.
Now, the things you mentioned as examples, a lot of realtors would think, or actually wouldn't think, even that being that offensive. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't even cross their minds that it shouldn't be a little girl's room or a little boy's room. How do you sort of modifying, changing those thought processes, changing those practices? How can we do that?
It's funny because it's becoming aware of our own gender story, right? So once we are able to understand gender better, what it is, then we can start looking at how our gender story is affecting our limiting beliefs around this topic and what we believe, and then you can start to adapt and change through that process. It comes down to understanding what gender it is and then how we can adapt and change through that. But it's looking at simple things and saying, why do we say a his and hers closet? I've serviced plenty of people that's not applicable. So it's modifying our language to make it more neutral, which is being more inclusive, which is what we subscribe to as realtors.
Well, and being more mindful of it.
Absolutely. That's the biggest thing, is just being more mindful in our day-to-day practices.
Sarah, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.